All right, everyone, we're back. Welcome to the Buyers on Demand podcast. I'm your host, Sean, as always, and it's a pleasure to be here with Nick Ramos. Nick, how do you pronounce your last name? Did I say it right, or is it Nick Ramos? Ramos? Do
Uh,
you have a preference?
Ramos, Ramos, or Ramos, if you want to make it extra spicy.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice. Nick is a San Francisco Bay realtor. We have quite a lot to discuss today because Nick, although this is really your first year as a realtor, you have, based on your experience with very advanced marketing strategies, you've gained like multiple years already under your belt. Nick, for anyone that's listening here at home, is in his first year in real estate, but is already beating the statistics. He is 10 deals as of today, completely closed. Today, literally right before this call, Nick just closed. Nick, what kind of deal was it?
It was a single family home in
Okay,
Colonel Heights, and it was a fixer,
beautiful.
and we sold it 52% over list price.
Beautiful.
So
And
listed
that
it.
happened
Yeah.
right before this episode. So we're anyone that's listening, especially if you're a new agent, you're going to get the most timely and tactical advice. I find some of my most valuable pieces of content are from the people that are, for example, like yourself, that are newer in the grind, literally closing deals as we speak. Because if you think about two different personas, you have the one person who's been there, done that, already at the top of the mountain, talking about how they got there. And then you have someone who's on the climb that's talking about this step right before today that they took to get to where they're at. And for me, sometimes I find the most valuable piece of information is from not people that are 10 steps ahead, but just one or two steps. And
Mhm.
so I think a lot of people that are in our audience will be able to relate and learn a lot from your story, Nick. Now, I've just given a couple bullet points about yourself, Nick. Do you want to give, a broad stroke of your story for the audience?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. First off, thank you so much for
Yeah,
having me here. I really, really appreciate it. Um, so I have a a long version and a short version. I guess I'll go somewhere in the middle. So my path into real estate was not linear. I wasn't like a fifth grader dreaming of being a real estate agent. It actually kind of happened by accident. So my family, originally from California, moved to Austin, Texas. That's where I grew up, and, I grew up in, like, a planned community. Everything was limestone and stucco, so in terms of architectural diversity, there wasn't much, and then I moved to San Francisco for college about 5 years ago, and it is I'd say the pinnacle of architectural diversity. You have Italianate Victorian
mhm,
homes built in 1885 that still stand. You have Art Deco, you have Craftsman, you name it, it's here. And so um, I entered this city. I was immediately enthralled by the architecture. And uh, for those who don't know, San Francisco, it's a 7 by 7 square essentially. It's not big. And within the 7 by 7 square, there's 118 different neighborhoods. And they're all extremely different. You have every type of person from every walk of life, which is why I personally fell in love with it. This city has something for everybody, including homes and your architectural preference. And so, uh, on the weekends, when I was getting to know the city and the different neighborhoods, I would just pop into open houses and just check them out. And that's kind of I didn't really at the time think, oh, I want to be a real estate agent. I want to sell these. It was more just me getting to know the area and uh, kind of finding this passion in me for architecture and historic homes specifically. And so within the last 4 years of college, and so I graduated last May, just for reference. I was a yoga teacher. I was a bike tour guide. I interned at City Hall at the SF LGBT Center. I was figuring out what I wanted to do, but I'm multi passionate, and that's always been uh, a a theme in my life. of not having one path, but more, so just multiple interests, and not limiting myself and not letting other people limit my passions. And so um, these careers, specifically being a yoga teacher and bike tour guide, those literally have, like, bike tour guide has the word guide in it, but a yoga teacher, it was that as well. It was bringing people back to themselves, right? And helping them ground, helping them regulate. And I taught yoga in my school gym. So it was for peers who were going through a lot of the same difficulties that I was in terms of stress and anxieties. And so it was extremely fulfilling. And then I I was studying sociology and politics, and in terms of career after college, the expectation was to go into politics because of that internship at City Hall. It was the adult thing to do, and I didn't really question it until January of last year. My dad's girlfriend said, I don't even know what the conversation was. She was just like, I think you'd be a really good real estate agent. We were just probably talking about like the post grad abyss and all of the fears that I was feeling. But when she said it, I was like, huh, I think you're right. And so I then connected with one of my really good friends here, whose dad is an agent in Lake Oswego, very successful. And I kind of had an informational interview. And the first thing he said was, I've never worked a day in my life. This does not feel like a job. Like, I truly love what I'm doing. And he's in his 60s now and has been doing it since he's 20, around the same age as me. And I'm 23 currently. And so hearing that, I just started to think of what it takes to be a real estate agent in terms of qualities. It's being sociable, having the EQ, having IQ, which I spent. I'm not like inflating myself, but just like
You can say it. You can
I
say it.
worked
You're
on
good.
these qualities in terms of being competent, right? And then also empathetic at the same time. And then also just passionate. Like, I live my life um very uh intentionally. And to me, looking at what a real estate agent looks like from the outside, it was rainbows and butterflies, and it was amazing. But surprise, it's much harder than that, right? Um, so then I ended up doing my training course for real estate. I told my family and everyone around me basically like a month before I graduated, hey, I'm actually gonna bet on myself, join a brokerage, and see what I can do. And I thank my mom for that uh, ability to just jump into the unknown. She raised me with the idea of live fearlessly, not recklessly. And this didn't feel like a reckless decision because, again, I went through the qualities of what a successful real estate agent looked like. And I was like, okay, yeah, I could do that. And I also didn't want to work for anybody else. That just wasn't um, something that I wanted to do right away. And so I joined with Coldwell Banker in June. I was a solo agent, again, 23, don't really have a sphere here. So it's not like I'm reaching out to my friends who are having a baby and need to move, right? And especially in San Francisco, the average age of a first-time home buyer is like 38.
Hmm.
So I had to get very creative. And I was making connections with agents who've been in the business for 40 years and done billions in terms of volumes, and was just trying to get advice. Um, a- and I was just trying, right? I would stay into the office at 11 p.m. Doing the Ramos Review, which would be my little real estate booklets that I'd go and hand out in my neighborhood and drop in the little mailbox. Um, because again, I didn't have another route that was just kind of given to me. It was I had to create something. And uh, I'm very creative inherently, and so it was kind of fun too. Like I love designing stuff. I'm a Canva warrior. That's what I call myself. I love to get
I
on
love
Canva
it.
and just mess around. So fast forward to November. Don't have a single deal done. I'm holding open houses every weekend for agents. I'm meeting so many people, creating a list of potential buyers who have come into the open house that are unrepresented. But again, like it usually takes a sec to create that relationship. And I was at the point where I was like, okay, I need a deal. Like let's get something done. Um, I wanted to have one deal done by the end of the year. That's a goal that I made for myself, as well as just the small goal that I wrote on my whiteboard when I got licensed: be the best real estate agent in San Francisco. I'm a low achiever. Um, no, so um, yeah, I was struggling for a little bit. The first 6 months, it was a grind. I was doing everything I was supposed to do. I was going into the office almost every day, uh, taking the courses with my broker, um, talking to people, just trying to do it all, right? And then my professor at USF ends up reaching out and says, "Hey, I want to connect you with the real estate agent who sold us our house in the new development in San Francisco." And I was like, "Of course, yeah." I've never thought of new development in terms uh, of being like a real estate agent in new development. That just didn't that wasn't a thing for me. I was like, "Oh, it's like residential or bust." And so I end up touring this development with her, and her name's Lynn Bell. She's now my current partner in crime, and I'll get to that point. But we initially had no intention of partnering up. She already had a partner that was closing out, and so actually I got my dates wrong. This was August when we met. So we met in August, and had these connections. She went to UT Austin, so it was like immediate boom. She's been in the industry for 40 years. She's like the queen of new development. Brilliant. And so fast forward then to November, she reaches out. She says, "Hey, my current partner is phasing out. Um, I need help closing out the community and building my like resale brand or like resale kind of team." And I was like, "Yeah, I would love to. Let's do it." And so uh, it was basically 50-50 partners on everything. And also having this amazing like mentorship opportunity of learning from someone who's been in the business for that long and on the loan side, done developments from the ground up, so operations, marketing, like you name it, she's done it. um, so the stars just kind of aligned. I ended up switching my license over to Christie's International Real Estate, who I'm with currently, joining on with Lynn. And then that month, I think we got 4 into contract, and it was after a lull. It was very slow
Nice.
from the previous 6 months, just because condominiums took a big hit during the pandemic in San Francisco, and we're at a low point. And that community specifically was hit pretty hard. But things picked up a little bit because interest rates went down, and then I think we closed 2 before the end of the year, and then it just kept going. So that's kind of the story. I've probably missed a couple of things in between, but it happened so fast. And then since I guess December, we just closed our 10th um, listing today.
It's a great recap. It's an awesome recap, Nick.
That was long.
It's No, no, no. I appreciate you sharing all that. This is my favorite question that I ask at the beginning of every episode because it's so interesting to see all of the different walks of life that enter the real estate space. I was like, I kid you not. I like this is gonna sound like I'm making up this story, but my last call, and if he's listening to this episode, he's gonna laugh when I'm describing this. My last call was with a new realtor as well,
Mm,
who he has two master's degrees and they're in ecology.
mm.
So he was
Oh,
studying soil science.
wow.
He was a farmer in I'm trying to remember what like some rural area like around Mississippi.
Mm,
Sorry, Mason, if you're listening, I'm blanking. It's been a couple days, but rural farmer um, was like considering becoming a rabbi at one point,
wow.
and like all of these like crazy worlds. Um, studying soil science, and then he travels across the country to where he's at now, and through conversation with someone similar to your experience, they say, you know what, you're a very sociable person, you have like a lot of really good interpersonal skills, I think you'd be really good as a realtor.
Mhm.
And so this whole world of like just a complete opposite spectrum
Mm,
of studying soil science and everything that he was doing on the farmland, tending for animals and whatnot, now comes into the more of like a businessy environment with real estate.
mm,
And just like yourself, what he was describing to me is how all the stars aligned.
mm.
Even though you take these two seemingly opposite endpoints, when you put them together, it seems like, oh, I have a lot of experience doing this, this, and this. In his interview, he mentioned like, I'm the only realtor here
Mm.
where I live that really understands the values of certain plots of land,
Yeah.
unlike anyone else.
Yeah.
And so he has this unique advantage that like nobody else does. And similar to your story, where like you have these unique experiences as a bike guide, your experience with the court
Mhm.
in politics, like pursuing this path in politics,
Mhm.
you bring a new angle to this new career that you're in, especially with who you attract.
Mhm.
And so I love this conversation because you can see like the workings of someone's personal brand kind of develop as they talk about this story.
Mm.
Like your story will resonate with many people like myself, that are similar to myself, that resonates with a certain type of worldview,
Mhm.
certain type of mindset, certain type of lifestyle choice that you gravitate towards.
Mhm.
And for example, this guy that's the farmer, like he's gonna do really well with people who are into that kind of like agricultural, big lot size, rural type of environment. So I love these questions. It's awesome. It's fascinating to see how all of these kind of inner workings of your story develop.
Mhm.
And especially in your case where you are living in San Francisco, which everyone outside of California is like, oh my gosh, I love like I'm in Las Vegas. I love California, but man, it's so expensive like to live there. So
Yeah.
for you, it's like I know you're feeling the heat of now you're in this, you just graduated college, or like a year out of graduating college. You're now in this career path where you are 100% commission and you're living in a very expensive city. And you're like, I got to figure this out. And so I want to go back to some of the parts of your story because you kind of beautifully tied it all up with a bow. But my first question is like, man, walk us through the mindset of those like first 6 months with no deals closed, where you're like, what do I do here? Because I know a lot of the new realtors listening to this, they might be feeling that type of anxiety right now.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's a good question.
Like, what was
Mm,
Nick's mindset during the
yeah.
the first couple months?
Well, I think a word that could like sum it up is tumult, like
Yeah,
internal tumult to the max. I thank God I was a yoga teacher and could learn to literally professionally breathe.
yeah,
'Cause there were a couple crash out moments to where I was genuinely I zoomed out and I was like, "What am I doing? Do I have the ability to do this?
yeah,
Did I make the right decision?" A lot of second guessing myself, which
yeah,
um is very human, but it's kind of to what you said in terms of the stars aligning. I'm a big believer in, yes, the stars have to align, but you also have to meet them halfway. So
Mm,
um, nothing's just gonna like be given to you.
sure.
You have to go out of your way to also make it happen, and then if it's meant to stay, it will stay. If not, then there's your answer. And I just I just knew that there was something that I just wasn't seeing yet. Like I'd say in that like yeah, 5th or 6th month mark, I was just I was like, okay, maybe I should have a backup option. Maybe I should start applying to jobs. Like really questioning, but I don't know what it was. Maybe intuition, something inside me was just like, no, just keep holding out, keep holding out. Maybe it's my stubbornness, and I needed to prove people that I could make this work. Um, I don't know. And so, yeah, those 6 months, it was a lot of ups and downs too, because uh, a buyer comes into an open house that's unrepresented, and you have a great connection. You think it sticks, but then no, it doesn't, and then you're on to the next. So it's yeah, it's very up and down, and when you're starting off. And I don't think you can really avoid that. Like I think that's just part of the learning curve a little bit. And now I'm at a place where um those ups and downs are still there, but my relationship to them has changed. I feel like I have kind of more equanimity in terms of not letting them um drive my emotional well-being. Like obviously I'm still tied to it, but if we let ourselves do this all the time, then it's just
Sure.
unsustainable. And so I kind of had to reframe my way of thinking, and really just like focus on the opportunities that are right in front of me. And so when I joined with Lynn, my role became doing the marketing, like the social media. So I run the shipyard Instagram, and so a little bit about the community. It's community. It's a 40-year master plan, and it's there's like 528 condominiums, and we had when I joined 6 townhomes we've sold, and then I think we had 25 one bedrooms, 2 bedrooms and studios, and now we have 18 that we're selling. So the studio or the Hilltop phase one is almost closed out. And yeah, so I'm doing the marketing for that, which is also managing like the Google PPC that we're doing.
Mhm.
So kind of diving into the marketing aspects.
Yeah, let's dive right in. That's a perfect
Yeah.
segue. Tell us, so you mentioned Google PPC, and I
Hmm.
know you have experience with other platforms with Meta and maybe organic, and you mentioned that you're working with Lynn,
Hmm.
50/50 partner. What, and you just said that you manage the marketing. Let's dive into like the more daily tactical um, view of this. When you say like you're managing the marketing, you're doing Google PPC. What else? Like what are the marketing activities that you and Lynn are doing to attract buyers and sellers on a daily basis?
Yeah. So we'll go into the community, and we'll meet with like Cafe Alma, for example, is right down the street from the community. And I did a 3-part interview, basically highlighting the cafe, and then the owner also has 2 other restaurants in Hunter Bayview. So I got my little drone, got my camera, and started interviewing the the staff and the workers there, as well as the owner herself, just to give buyers a little insight into the people behind the place that they may live in, right? Um, humanizing
Mhm.
the story as much as we can. And so that part I love, right? Because it creates this reciprocity of you have a new development in an area, and you want it to positively impact the community. And so how can we facilitate that? And that's kind of how I viewed it. And when I jumped into the role. And so Yeah, it's also in the community. We have the largest artist colony in North America, just literally down the street. And so during the open studios, we'll go in, interview the artists, and put them on our Instagram. And then Lynn is also brilliant and chose to stage the homes with the artists, the local artists' pieces. So again, creating that
That's
reciprocity.
nice. Cool.
Um, and so it's yeah, it's really, really fun. Like, I love that aspect of marketing where it's talking to community members and businesses, um, and just creating a story. Like, I feel like that's our job. We're story makers.
That 100%. I could not agree with that more. It's literally like from all the top producers that I talk to, that's the number one thing that they say is how do you like it goes so much deeper than just putting an ad up of a home and saying, "Do you want to buy it?" It's
Yeah.
who are the people inside the home?
Mhm.
What is the neighborhood like? What around the home would be appealing for a mother with two kids, maybe a
Mhm.
single mother? What would be appealing to a family of four that just is looking for their first or maybe second home, they're moving up in life. Like there's so many really, really pertinent details
Mhm.
um, that you could really kind of hinge on.
Mhm.
Um, and every single top producer that I talk to, they all mention knowing your audience. Like it is the number one thing that they always tell me is if there were they like at the end of some of my episodes, I'll ask like, is there one piece of advice that you would have for someone regarding marketing? And they all say the same thing about knowing your audience.
Yep.
Because if you know who you're trying to attract, you can craft the story around them so that they can put themselves inside the story.
Yeah.
Like for example, with what you guys are doing, you mentioned townhomes, condominiums. I'm
Mhm.
sure you probably are marketing to a lot of first time
Exactly.
buyers.
Yep.
Right. This is like the most important transitional period of their entire life. They just graduated maybe from USF, which you probably can relate to on that degree. Like, hey, I'm literally just in your shoes.
Mhm.
And, now they're taking the first step into actual adulthood. They're in San Francisco. Maybe they have a tech job or something. This is all stereotypes, by the
Yeah.
way. But,
No, no, no.
but like, you can
You're on
see
the
where the
spot.
story can be painted.
Yeah.
It's like, you got accepted in the tech job, first time buyer going into this new home, and like look at this neighborhood around you,
Yep.
surrounded by artists. You have fresh, like new, vibrant life around you instead of like an older community where maybe it's more for like people looking to relax a little bit.
Yep.
So I can
And
totally see everything you're saying.
add maintenance on that, right? The benefit of a
Yeah.
new build is you don't have to deal with
Yeah.
capital improvements in the next 15, 20 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
But totally agree. Yeah. It's, uh, I've also heard that from a lot of top producers of, yeah, knowing your audience and curating your, your story, but then also brand in a way. Yeah. It's interesting. It's a
I,
depending on what segment that you want to enter into for
and
marketing.
I love what you mentioned about like how fun it is to tell stories because I felt that when you said that I felt that too when I was filming agents when I was doing the media for a lot of them. My favorite part was doing the listing video and actually interviewing them and them talking. Like my favorite videos ever to film was when we'd be able to get the seller who
Mhm.
actually lived in the home and they would tell us their experience of all their time living inside the home, why they chose the home, and then where they're moving to. Like it it made the job so much more fun than just showing certain parts of the room and hoping someone clicks on it. And so tactically, again, for the audience, I want to go back because a lot of our audience, they tend to be newer into the business for some of them. Some of them are more like they're a couple years in,
Mhm.
approaching. Some of them then are also mid-career. And so I think this all applies for all of them,
Mhm.
these three different archetypes. When you're saying like, okay, you get your camera, you get your equipment, and you interview folks in the community, where is that going? Is this going on like regular Instagram, Facebook, organic? Is it going on Facebook ads, Google ads? Like, what are you doing with this material once you've captured the story?
Yeah, it's just so it's literally just going organic on Instagram, TikTok, building, yeah, a local following, because it's something that we can also use when we're connecting with a buyer, say from a Google PPC ad, right? And they're asking about the community. That's a tool that we have in our toolbox to say, hey, this is what the community looks like. And these are the businesses that exist there. And this is what you get to look forward to. Like, come on out. Um, and everyone's already on Instagram and TikTok. So they just click the link and boom, they uh, can really see it in depth. And that's the goal. That's the goal.
I wanna pin this real quick. This is super important. I put a marker in this recording because this is a super, super critical topic that you just brought up. I was speaking with a realtor 2 weeks ago in Tucson, Arizona, and there was a relocation buyer who was doing what a lot of them do, and they interview a round of agents. This realtor in particular, who I was talking to, was in this round of interviewees, and the buyer basically took the group of, I think she had mentioned like 25 agents all around Arizona, and he slimmed it down to just two: herself and then the number one top producer in Arizona.
Mm.
They were always on the top, like this relocation buyers list, because they're the best in the business in that market. And this agent, by the way, I didn't mention it, but this agent is more of a newer type of agent. Doesn't have as much experience as agent over here.
Mm-hmm.
And yet the relocation buyer ended up choosing her, the newer agent, over the number one in the market, because they were asking about the lifestyle in the area, and she had specific connections, video assets, actual experience in the specific community that they were asking for, where the number one agent, they were at this point, again, just like I talked about at the beginning of this episode, they're like top of the hill, and so now they're kind of far removed, and they have people that work underneath them that goes into the communities and do all that stuff. And so they can't speak to the actual lived experience of the lifestyle like what you just described. And so for the people listening at home, if there's like one thing that I've always wanted to highlight in these episodes, it is the value of, people think about like, okay, I need to go and talk to the different restaurants and establishments in my community, for content's sake, because it gets views. Like you go and interview a restaurant, or you do a food review of a restaurant and it gets views. But it is the number one, like, prime sales assets in quotes, that you could use when you're following up with a lead, especially if it's a lead that's like from a different state or online or whatever the case is, and they're asking about the lifestyle, or if you just need a reason to check back in with them. Because sometimes I talk to realtors who, they'll generate leads, and I know you probably can relate to this with Google PPC. You'll generate a lead, they're hot at first, and then of course, they're looking for a home maybe in 6 months, and so you have like this period of time where it's just cold between you and the lead. And what a lot of, trying to think of the appropriate word, but I'll say inexperienced. I was like debating, should I say this? Inexperienced folks do in that situation is they say, "Hey, John, it's Sean again, just checking in. How are you doing on the home search?" Nobody wants to hear that. But if you check back in and you follow up with someone by saying, "Hey, was thinking about you. I know you were looking in this neighborhood. I just went and talked to the owners of this establishment," and you send the Instagram or TikTok link, man, that's going to go so much farther than anything out there. And I talk to so many realtors who have told me experiences just like this. And so I love that you mentioned that. There's like, as soon as you said it, I'm like, this is the highlight of the episode.
Yeah.
Like, I've been waiting for someone to talk about this. It's incredible. So yeah.
We the like social media is such an easy tool to use to our advantage, right? It's we can put whatever we want on there and share that with potential clients and buyers. Like you said, yeah, to give them an insight into the community and to really show that you're the quote unquote like mayor of the community in a way.
Sure.
And kind of anecdotally to what you were talking about in terms of the checking in like periodically if there's a gap. So last November, I did, yeah, a couple open houses, and I made some connections. I created a list of buyers that walked in, neighbors that walked in, and I would probably text them every month, and some of them wouldn't even respond, or maybe I'd send 3 texts in a row, and then they'd respond on the fourth. But I just still going. I'd remember exactly what they said in that moment of what they were looking for, and I created a search on Zenlist with their name on it. And every time something would come up, I'd send it to them just to stay top of mind. It's like, okay, maybe they're not looking now, but I'm thinking about them, right? I'm here to help them. And um, again, using a tool that we have like Zenlist to create searches that kind of saves it for us. But it finally paid off to where I kept following up with a specific buyer, and then last week got him pre-approved, put an offer on a place. It ended up not going through, but uh, like it worked. Just the follow up, and then another um, individual that I met, she reached out 2 weeks ago, and I met her last November. She said, "Hey, I want to list my condo," and I was like, "Let's do it." And it is just staying top of mind, and what may come off as annoying or may seem annoying, um, it's just I don't think they think it's annoying. It's um, or maybe for some. I can't say that everyone doesn't think it's annoying, but it's another route that works, I think, in terms of follow up is just persistence there until they say like, "Hey, stop texting me." Of course, you listen to that, but um, yeah, it's being intentional with those touch points for sure.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was gonna say. It's a difference between checking in and value-based follow-up, like
Exactly. Yeah.
100%. You are reaching back out with intention.
Yeah.
And this is something like I've been on the receiving end of this. Like I have, for example, a mortgage lender who's been contacting me for 4 years following up, but
That's
he
awesome.
will he will send very personalized text messages. Hey, remember the last time that we spoke? You mentioned this, and this just came up. And recently, I was just thinking about my experiences on the receiving end. I ended up just calling him 3 weeks ago,
Cool.
and it had been like 2 years since we talked. And I was like, hey, here's the situation.
Mhm.
Here's where I'm at. But I wanted to call you because your text message, like people, especially in this world that we're in with AI and automated text messages and stuff, like people can see through that no problem. But
Yeah.
with the messages that he was sending me and how personalized they were with the bullet points
Mhm.
of what we discussed, circling back to it, I almost going back to what you mentioned about reciprocity, I almost felt obligated to acknowledge him
Mhm.
because he was putting in so much effort to acknowledge me. And
Mhm.
at the end of the day, all I wanted to feel was just being acknowledged, you
Yeah.
know? And it's so I 100% agree with you on that. I love what you said there. I want to go back because I could spend another like hour and a half just talking about this one concept, but I for the listeners at home, I don't want them to I want them to just hear me,
Road trip. Yeah.
yeah, exactly, go on this tangent. I want to talk about your 10 deals.
Mhm.
Because for a first time or a first year agent and a first time agent, but first year in the business, that's not something you hear every day. I'm used to talking to people who are like, man, it's first year and I'm really working to get this one. Like I don't know what to do at some point. I was talking with one realtor a couple episodes back who she she relocated to a new area, knew no one, and so she got into leases to get the volume under her reps and to hopefully get buyers and sellers that way. You mentioned what has really helped you, and I think another highlight of this episode is first off, joining a team
Yeah.
and being 50-50 partner with someone who's very experienced in a certain lane of the business. Now, my question for you is with those 10 deals that you've closed now, what did you guys do, you and Lynn, do to market the homes, to get the buyers or to get sellers to market homes for?
Mhm. So yeah, um, lots of things. So first off, we're selling directly from the builder, right? Lennar.
Hmm.
So there's financing incentives. So obviously a big plus, right? Second, we do ads in the local newspaper like East Bay Times or SF Chronicle. And we'd also do postcards to renters in the community um, because a lot of individuals bought these condominiums initially as like investment properties and so then rented it out. And that's an obvious buyer potential, right?
Yep.
Our current renters. And so we'd send postcards locally. Um, we they did before I joined, they did Meta ads, they did Facebook, or yeah, I guess Meta is Facebook and Instagram. And then now we're doing Google PPC and Instagram is where we're really honing in on. And so kind of touched everything.
That's great that you mentioned that, because my next question is, with all of those that you've touched on,
Hmm.
right? You've had the experience of trying out multiple different channels of marketing.
Hmm.
Which one have you found, you and Lynn, to be the most rewarding for you
Yeah.
out of those?
Honestly, I guess rewarding. So the most like qualified leads.
Yeah, most qualified leads. If you guys have closed any
Yeah.
deals from the different channels that you guys have done, I mean, you've closed 10, so
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not sure if there's one platform that has given you the bulk of those deals, or one source of
But
lead
because then it's
generation.
also the piece of like agents, like it's we go on Zillow highlights too. So then agents bring their clients in and then they're compensated accordingly. And so
Mhm.
that's a piece. But I'd say recently, just comparing Meta to Google PPC, the Google ads are much more they're real. Like the Meta ads I've learned so many of them are bots,
Mhm.
and so these leads that we've been getting probably like 40 a month, and we started doing this in January, and like the majority of them are real leads that I am actively calling on the phone. Maybe again they're buying in the next like 6 to 12 months, some of them in 1 to 3. But regardless, they're real leads, and we actually had one come in this past weekend because we do open houses 1 to 4 p.m. Saturday and Sunday every weekend, and so we yeah had someone from that lead channel come in, and I think they're going to put in an offer. So that the PPC I think is newer, but I'm already seeing the benefits, and
Mhm.
um, I think it's just a matter of time because again, the segment that we're in terms of we're closing out one bedrooms and studios. A lot of them are first time home buyers, right? And it's difficult because there's a lot of volatility in the world, like geopolitically, and that then creates a lot of buyer uncertainty. So it's kind of hit or miss, right? And but at the end of the day, like if we know there's the real leads in a pool right there, when rates go down again, then
Mhm.
boom, they're there.
Mhm.
We're ready. So I think that's been the most rewarding channel thus far.
It's a it's a great insight. That's something that Tiago, for anyone that's listening at home, I've mentioned it in most intros. We kind of glossed over it in this episode, but Tiago's my right hand man on these podcasts. He comes from a background working with a real estate brokerage that kind of transitioned into, I guess, a marketing brokerage as well. He managed 500 different ad accounts with realtors there. He would tell me the same thing, that there's two different types of lead activity on these platforms. With Google, with Google, it's very intentional. You are going to search for example, like, first time, or sorry, homes near me
Yeah.
in San Francisco,
Mhm.
versus someone that's scrolling on Facebook and Instagram. They're scrolling and they get hit with an ad of a home that looks attractive. They click on it because really a lot of them just want to find photos.
Yep.
Now that isn't to find more photos of the home. That isn't to say that with some realtors I've seen, um, they come to maybe a false preface with this and say that like, okay, well, Facebook doesn't work. Both platforms do work. Um, from what we've seen, Tiago, myself, like we've seen folks close many, many deals on both Meta, on TikTok, on Google, etc.
Mhm.
With Google, though, we've found time and time again that you were paying more of the times for a higher cost per lead, but those are almost always going to be higher quality because of the search intent behind the lead itself versus again just scrolling and looking at photos of a home.
Yeah.
And so I love to hear that you guys are seeing kind of similar results. That's great. I think Google is something that is vastly underutilized
Mhm.
with a lot of the agents that we see, even here, like in Las Vegas. I know a handful of realtors. Like there's one realtor that I worked with not too long ago, and we were doing YouTube ads. She was like the only realtor that I could see in this area that was like doing anything on YouTube. Man, the quality of the leads that came in from the ads we were helping her with was absolute night and day difference. Like these are
Mhm.
just like you said, people that you would talk to on the phone and they actually were looking,
Yeah.
for X, Y, and Z.
Right.
So absolutely, like there's different behaviors for different platforms. 100%. You go to YouTube most of the time, like a lot of people go to YouTube to learn stuff. They'll go to
Mhm.
Instagram and TikTok to maybe brain rot,
Yeah.
or I guess
Yeah,
the term
exactly.
that's not the term for maybe older audiences would be just to like relax their mind.
Mm.
So absolutely 100%. Love
Yeah.
that you mentioned that.
And I think I also I have to say that like I'm still learning which channel is working, and
Yeah.
that's kind of the I feel like the benefit of starting young and again not having a built-in sphere and a channel that yeah, I can rely on this. I'm constantly looking for new um yeah, new ways to market. And like most recently I was thinking of starting some type of series to where okay, so every time you see a porta potty outside of a home, right? That indicates there's some type of renovation occurring.
Yeah.
Are they renovating to go to market, or are they renovating because they love the house? And so I'm like, well, should I just start knocking on every single door that I see with a porta potty and just like lead with
That's
that,
good.
like renovation
That's good.
or relocating, right? Like,
Yeah.
so I, and you can make it fun. Like, I think
Ex-
that's also a piece of it.
that's exactly it right there. I love that. Like
Yeah.
I was talking to a realtor who a lot of realtors in their first year, they will you have to evaluate different sources of lead generation. Like,
Mhm.
okay, am I going to cold call? Am I going to run ads? Am I going to do content? Am I going to door knock? Am I going to rely on my sphere?
Mhm.
All of them have their pros and cons. Sphere, of course, you're going to find your warmest leads
Right.
most of the time. You're gonna find a lot of referrals that way. It's probably the easiest to get into, but often can be inconsistent. Cold calling takes kind of a unique skill set for people that are especially not, used to that type of sales activity before.
Mhm.
Paid ads, well, if you're a first time in real estate, you got to be able to save your money quite a bit.
Right.
And organic content, the problem there is that it's going to take some time to build.
Yeah.
And so
To get into the algorithm. Yeah.
a lot of agents like I survey a lot of the guests that come on the show, and I've found that 6 out of the 7,
Mhm.
um, me being younger, I'm thinking about the meme, but six six
I didn't even
six out of the seven,
process
I know. Six. Sorry, we were talking about brain rot, so now I'm like in this meme. I'm in this meme mindset. But anyways, 6 out of the 7 agents mention open houses as a dominant strategy because they are um, used to just talking to people in person. Maybe it's the most comfortable. And when we were talking about it, I was like, man, this is the perfect time for you if you're relying on something like open houses. You can use content, make it fun that you're doing this open house or like anything. Like I was just talking to a realtor yesterday who was relying on cold calling. It's like, dude, if you were to film yourself cold calling,
Yeah.
you could basically like double the output. You're now
Yes.
making it fun to do your generation or lead generation task. And if you post it online, like, you might be able to find more people that are attracted to that type of
Yeah.
content, you know?
Gamify it, right?
Gamify, exactly right. Like, people love that, especially if you
Yeah.
make it a series.
Yeah.
You have a specified goal and you say, okay, here's day one of me going and knocking on renovation or relocation homes.
Right.
Like, people would love to tune in. And the best part of this is it helps ease your nerves a little bit, which
Mhm.
is what I was telling
Yes, totally.
the realtors that were doing open houses, because some of them are like a little nervous to do it and whatnot. But it's like, man, if you film yourself doing it, it's like
Mhm.
you can always use that as an excuse for anything.
Yep.
You know, it's like, hey, I'm just trying to get content for the page. You know, like
Yeah.
it's such a perfect like back pocket excuse,
Yeah.
um, that you can make it fun. It calms your nerves a little bit, and you can also leverage like the same amount of time that you're using to knock on doors.
Yeah.
You post it online, and now it's shown to potentially hundreds of thousands of people. Well, now you can get so much more business just from doing literally the same activity, but posting it as well, you know? So
Agreed. And I think what also has to
100%.
go hand in hand, it's like of course I'm enjoying what I'm doing in terms of marketing, but it's also like behind the scenes, I'm continuing to educate myself in terms of market research, right? Like it's single family home inventory in San Francisco is like 40% down, and that's why you're having homes go $2 million over ask, right? And so I think it's a balance. And um I think also if you yeah have that ability to be social but then also know the market stats and know the neighborhood, know the home in terms of like San Francisco, like we're a disclosure state, so like when was the roof replaced,
Yep.
when was the HVAC, like all this, right? Making sure that you have done the due diligence to where you, and I learned that the hard way, right? Because didn't do that, and then I have an interaction, and then you're like, oh, like, well, that's my job, I should know that, right? And so I think it's yeah, there's a lot of factors that we constantly have to balance as agents, and to constantly refine, while also doing the marketing. And that part's been really interesting, because I think even in terms of like going door to door, you want to be able to talk about a home that just sold down the street and why it's, again, you were talking about value-based touch points that applies to even in person, right?
Totally.
Every single interaction that you go into, it's what can you leave them with that they didn't know previously. So I've also made that a foundation. Like every single morning, I made it so where Claude will scour the internet for just some like real estate market news, just like one tidbit that I could share with someone, just to even create conversation. While also just kind of looking at market insights, and um, I think that's been a game changer too, knowing what I'm talking about and that I am qualified to be able to help these sellers get the most for their home, right? But then also the buyers navigate a multiple offer situation market, and how to make their offer most appealing, right? In terms of no contingencies, having their pre-approval fully underwritten, all that stuff. And um, so that, yeah, so it's fun, but then it's also like business.
Yep. Amazing. No, I loved it. I think that's like another mic drop, pin drop moment for this episode is leaving the conversation with something that they didn't know prior, you
Mhm.
know, which I love. I love that you mentioned that. Nick, I want to be respectful of our time. We're here at the like almost the hour mark here. So what I want to do is to end this episode, I want to start with your current state right now, which is you have 10 deals closed.
Mhm.
If you can humor me for this exercise, I want to let's forecast like what do we want our goal to be for the next 12, like in the next 12 months? How many deals do we want to have closed? And the second thing to this exercise is what is going to be our primary strategy to get to that goal?
Yeah,
I'll leave you with those two.
that's good. And I'm answering those now. It's not like I'm returning the episode. No,
We
okay.
can, like I said, we can edit anything. So
Yeah,
if
no,
you
no.
need a couple of minutes to think about it,
No, I mean,
totally cool.
I again, um, I my goal, and Lynn and I's goal was to I think we initially put like 100 million in terms of volume. Um, and again, in San Francisco, like we like hours ago, a home just sold for 52 million. It just broke the record for this year. So I'm not selling those yet, but it only takes two of those.
There you go.
So the amount of deals is I can't answer that much
Mhm.
as well, but in terms of volume, that's the next milestone is get to 100 million.
Amazing.
And then to get to that generation, like
Mhm.
I don't know, the fixture that we just closed on, I met all the neighbors and loved the community and created these great relationships. And then just yesterday, I talked with a neighbor who was like, "Oh, I have a place in Oakland I'm thinking to sell, and I'll let you know if I'm um, gonna do it, and you can help me out." And so I think it's now maintaining the relationships that I have created, again, through the intentional follow-up, but then also just being, like, genuine and authentic, and I just everyone that I meet, I love, right? Like, um, and so I don't know, continuing the PPCs, and closing out the community, the last 18 condominiums, if you're looking for a studio or one bedroom, new development, shout out the Shipyard SF. Um, but also there'll probably next week there'll be a new channel that I'm exploring. So I I can't fully say what will get me there because I think
Sounds like if I could summarize, number 1 is continue working that snowball that's been building,
yeah.
and number 2, always be learning and trying new things. So
Yes, I like that.
cool,
That's
cool.
yes, that's very helpful. I feel like I'm going the
Very good.
roundabout way to get there.
Very good. No, I heard you loud and clear.
Mm.
Nick, last question for you. Is there anything that you wanna share with the audience? Anything you got coming up? Anything that you are looking to promote at this very moment? The floor is yours, and then we'll
Ooh.
be out of here.
Well, I guess since I already said it, I need to do the series of relocating or
Yeah.
renovation with the porta
Yep.
potties.
Yep.
So,
We're making it official on this podcast. Yep.
so there you go with that one. But no, in all seriousness, actually, no, there's no all seriousness. I know that's all I'm
That's it.
promoting. Yeah.
That's it.
Just promoting, yeah, if you wanna work
Done.
with me, I'm a fun time, and I'm also good at what I do, I'm learning. So, I'm happy to be a home matchmaker. That's what I call myself. Not a
Nice.
real estate agent, but a professional home matchmaker.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, everyone, thank you for tuning in to yet another episode of the Buyers on Man podcast. As I've been saying in the recent episodes, the reception to these episodes have been awesome. So thank you again for the support. Nick, it has been a pleasure to have you
You.
on this podcast, and I'm sure that we are going to have another conversation fairly soon.
Would love to.
So,
Yeah, thank you
all
so
right.
much, Sean, really appreciate it. Great time.
Thank you.